I was in Ecuador last week doing some research and launching the Spanish edition of the book. And Ecuador is certainly part of this Latin American shift to the left. They elected a left-wing president named Rafael Correa a couple of years ago, who's shutting down the U.S. military base. He says the U.S. can't have a military base in Ecuador unless Ecuador can have a military base in Miami, and that's not flying, so one of the first things Rafael Correa said when he was elected, they said, well, what's your economic project? And he said, well, let's put it this way, I'm no fan of Milton Friedman's. His vision was a classic developmentalist vision in Latin America. And his big fight before he was elected president was there's a pipeline being built through parts of the Amazon. It was being pushed with World Bank money. And Rafael Correa when he was economics minister, had wanted a certain percentage of the revenue from the pipeline to go to be earmarked for healthcare and education in Ecuador, which is a great idea, and which was promptly nixed by the World Bank. And the government has been at loggerheads with the bank since Correa took office. But what's interesting about what's going on in Ecuador right now is Correa is being pushed by much more radical elements of society, many of them from indigenous groups. Ecuador has the largest indigenous federation in Latin America called CONAN. And CONAN is leading a campaign to leave the oil in the ground in the Amazon, which is a more radical demand than the demand of extracting it, but holding on to a greater percentage of the profits. And of course, they're arguing that the pipeline is a threat to their way of life. And they're also arguing that the Amazon it belongs to all of humanity, and that there are more species in 1 hectare of this part of the world than there are species in North America, and that it must be protected. But Correa's demand that a percentage of the profits go to healthcare and education is also an eminently reasonable demand for a country that has been looted for so many years. And so what people in Ecuador are pushing right now is the concept of ecological debt, which is that people in wealthy countries who have contributed so much to climate change it can't just demand that countries like Ecuador leave their oil in the ground because we want to visit the Amazon someday, but should pay them not to develop the Amazon and leave the oil in the ground. So they're really developing a new model, a model that needs our support. Because it's not enough to stop the disaster capitalists, to hold them off, whether in Iraq and Burma. We need to deprive them of their market. And their market is chaos. Their market is disaster. Their market is fear. And so that means, I think, is working to make the concept of ecological debt, which is so much better a concept than carbon trading, the social justice issue of our time, because it marries together these two most pressing issues of climate change and economic justice. And I think closer to home, it means supporting the climate camp this summer. We break this cycle only by challenging the core narrative at the heart of this project, which is also that core narrative in all of those seductive biblical myths, which is that the earth is inexhaustible. We can make a terrible mess and then we can escape, us and our friends. We'll get on a boat, we'll go to somebody else's land. It's the narrative that has fueled colonialism and that fueled disaster capitalism, constantly looking for a new clean sheet and a new blank slate on which to start over. If we're going to fight this logic, we need new stories. We need new narratives. Or we need to refine old narratives, the ones that tell us that the resources of the planet are not inexhaustible, that life is not a series of great escapes, but a cycle, that we are stuck here together. Thank you.